I think that's something that people need to understand is that not everybody's competing in powerlifting. Hardly anybody's competing in powerlifting. If somebody puts something on their Instagram and they say, this is a world record squat and it's like a half squat, then you can talk shit. But when you see somebody working hard and they're doing what they're it's like, why comment on it? Like, why be like, oh, that's not impressive? But like, I will punch a hole through that guy's chest.
Fighting out of Sacramento, California.
Woo! What you gonna do?
Better. Stronger.
Son of a bitch.
Faster.
Oh, yeah!
Yeah, so, this weekend I came into the gym and I was all pumped up yesterday and I did a squat with a safety squat bar, a box squat. And it was kind of a high box squat, so the box squat was probably about as high as this chair is right now. So, it's a little above parallel with, And so I posted and, people go crazy about it. They're like all excited, like, oh, hey, you're a beast. I did like 8 reps, right? So people, oh, you're a beast. And then you get the one comment that the guy's like, well, if you squatted down further, would that hurt your hips? Because it'd be way more impressive to see you do 315 all the way down, which I literally just posted last weekend. Like last weekend, I posted me squatting 315 below parallel, and I think people don't see these things. And people think that like I do. It's like if you went into the gym and you saw Jay Cutler and he's lying on his back and he's just kind of doing this with his tricep. This is what I saw when I met Jay Cutler, right? Did I walk into the gym and go, Jay Cutler doesn't know what he's doing? No, I said Jay Cutler's really isolating those triceps. What a great exercise that is. And I want people to realize that like just because you're squatting onto a box and the exercise is easier, you can use more weight, right? So like because I'm going higher, I can use 550 or whatever it was, right? Like I can use a lot of weight because I'm not doing the full movement. When we do the full movement and we squat all the way down, there's nothing wrong with that, but that also isn't how the human body works. You're never going to find a football player that gets into a full squat and then like, does something. Like, I mean, their stance is almost a squat, but what are they doing before they hit anybody? They're running. So the first step is up. They never hit anybody in a full squat and then come up. Right. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't happen.
Right.
So there's a lot of these guys out there like Joel Seedman. He'll say only squat to 90. Like he'll say don't ever go below parallel. Don't even go to parallel because you're going to get injured. And I think that's something that people need to understand is that not everybody's competing in powerlifting. Hardly anybody's competing in powerlifting. If somebody puts something on their Instagram and they say, this is a world record squat and it's like a half squat, then you can talk shit. But when you see somebody working hard and they're doing what they're it's like, why comment on it? Like, why be like, oh, that's not impressive? But like, I will punch a hole through that guy's chest. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not impressive. Like, let me show you impressive. Right. It'll be impressive when I take your dick and wrap it around your neck. You know what I mean? Like, that'll be impressive, right? But that's what I'm saying is like, people just look at a post, and I'm guilty of this. Like, you look at it and you react. You look at it and you react. I've been finding even myself being almost the same way towards people I like. And that's where I think that's the poison of social media. When you, like, I don't know if you ever get like this. I never get like this with you. You're like a real good friend and a really good person. So I never like look at a Russell, and you're not arrogant. So I never look at a Russell post and go, oh, Russell again. Whatever. I never do that with somebody like you. However, we do know some people that are a little arrogant, are a little whatever, and they'll be like very braggadocious. And then I look for the mistakes in their video. But in all reality, like, I don't really care, and they have every right to brag because they're usually awesome people, anyway. And they're just trying to get themselves over. They're just trying to get a couple likes out of it, and you have to like realize things. And then it's different when somebody's Instagram's a business. Then you can bomb them all you want. You know what I mean? But people just trying to get by, I think it's different. Like just normal people. And I guess I fall in a weird category of kind of like a little bit of both. I don't really try to be a business. I don't make any money off of my Instagram or any of the things that I even post on it. I think people would think I'm ridiculous and stupid, which I am, for not taking any money from a lot of these supplement companies that I've, helped over the years, or for like a lot of the food companies that I've helped over the years. Like I must have posted about Primal Kitchen 100 times when I was doing keto, and that was all for free. It's all because Mark Sisson was my friend. Element, my buddy Tyler Cartwright, I still think it's a great product. We make our own hydration product now. I think I have some right over here. Yeah, Mark makes his own hydration. The salted caramel ones are amazing.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
And so, but it doesn't mean that like I don't support Element anymore or whatever. But like I just never took any money from those companies. Like I work with Whitmer Rejuvenation Clinic right now, and I haven't taken any money from them. Now a lot of these places do provide me with like hookups, hey, you can get your TRT for free. You can get your steak for free. I'm probably the only person on the planet that has free steroids and steak,
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
You have to earn that.
Yeah.
You earn that, but the way that I earn that is by telling thousands and thousands of people about these products that I actually really like and enjoy. And so I think like, I don't know, I'm not trying to bomb on the guy that left the Instagram comment, because I get what he means, and I've been guilty of kind of jumping to conclusions. Well, that's not a real squat. Like there's a guy, I was actually really surprised because Ed Cohn's like one of my heroes, and he's an idol of mine, and I've never heard him say a bad word or say anything about anybody. And I posted a guy squatting 900, and I just said, this is the fastest I've ever seen 900 pounds move. And Ed Cohn was like, that wasn't at depth. It wasn't a full squat. And I would think that Ed would know that, like, well, yeah, the guy's in training. Like, when I talk to most powerlifters that are great, I'll say, do you go to depth all the time? They'll say, no, I go to depth when, like, I compete. Like, 8 weeks out, when I start my training blocks, I start hitting depth. Because it's like, when you're going below parallel, that's where injury is more likely to happen. Right? Now, some people, there's some people listening to this probably pulling their hair out right now because they're really flexible. They're really mobile, and they can squat below parallel with no problem. And to those people that can do that and stay really healthy, when I watch some of the girls squat, like my friend B, when she squats, it's like, I told her yesterday, I'm like, don't take this in the wrong way, but every lift you do is like beautiful. Like, it's not like, I'm like, you're beautiful too, but like the lifts are so pretty.
Great form.
Like it just looks, it looks like you're a figurine for like a video that like somebody animated.
Wow.
Because the form is so perfect.
That's cool.
And if she can do that and her knees don't move in or out at all and the back is flat the whole time, great. I think you should do that all the time. But if you have problems hitting depth, I think there's no problem with like doing a box squat. Or like for somebody like you, a box squat is a great tool because like, are you going to go and squat below parallel? Like it's going to be pretty hard to get down there.
What's interesting though is I used to be able to. I'm reliving a memory where I had a strength and conditioning coach at my high school say, "You're going too low." This is with my squats. He goes, "You're gonna get a giant ass or something like that. You're going too low."
Hey, look what he did to
you. No, but so like I used to be able to go below 90 when I was 16, 17. So I know it's not like my skeletal structure is somehow predisposition not to. It's scar tissue and balance and mobility issues that I need to fix, right? So big belly. So I usually straddle a long bench and I squat down onto the bench. I have it parallel. So I'm straddling. Yep. I don't have it going the other way.
I gotcha. That's how we started. Mark and I used to squat like that in our gym in our basement. All we had was a bench. And so we didn't know how to squat. So we'd pick up the bar and we'd walk back and we'd be straddling a bench. Yeah. And then we'd squat down onto the bench. What I like about a box a little bit better than a bench, and there's nothing wrong with using a bench. I like the fact of like trying to like feel my way back like to the box. Yeah. And so when you're, I would just say the only thing that straddling it does is make it a little bit more difficult to like lift it off, like get your feet in close. Because I lift with my feet in close, I lift it off, and then I widen out. And that's what like if you watch somebody like Ed Cohn, he'll tell you like take a step back and you should be set. So like when you're straddling something, it's just harder to do that. Like
this week maybe if we can pick a day and you can help me decide on when and how, I'd like to test out that squat max out in the gym.
Yeah.
If you're cool with that.
Yeah.
I saw the guy. I know I've had problems with my body being too big for the belt before. So like with the sled, I just basically used 2 belts.
Yeah, we have other straps and stuff that we can
right.
make it so it fits.
And the guy that designed it, his name's lost me. It's Brian, is it?
Brian Hennessy, yeah.
He I saw him do one where he had 2 straps like over each shoulder.
Yeah.
So he's like, hey, if your hip's a problem, you can just wear them on your shoulder and then
Squat Max MD, that thing's called. Did
It's
you ever get the Henny attachment?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you got it.
I love it. Yeah.
Okay.
I thanked him. I made a
That's
little
another.
post.
Yeah, well, let's put him over a little bit. So Brian Hennessy, he makes the Squat Max MD. It's an awesome machine. We have it here in the gym, and he also makes a thing called the Henny, which is kind of just like a TRX strap for a bar. So I guess what I want to say, and that Squat Max MD is a great example of something that you can utilize, and it has a seat on it even. So like, even if you can just squat down a little bit and get back up, that's a great exercise for you. And it would break my heart to go online and watch somebody go, well, it wasn't all the way down. I'm like,
Yeah.
the guy weighs, 400 plus pounds. It's like he's not gonna be doing a full squat.
I'll still never forget, and it's just so it's something like I have to like constantly wipe off my conscience because this thing will pop onto my conscience, and I'll go, why are you lamenting over someone being mean online? Like this is clearly it's not important, but yet wired, it's hard not to just somehow get a twist on it. But 2 years ago, when you posted me doing the hex bar with like 360 or something like that, it was 3 plates in that big heavy bar.
Yeah.
And 100 comments like, way to go, keep getting it, never too late, gonna watch your journey. And then one guy goes, well, look how big he is. 315 is nothing for a guy that big. And I was like, well, I wonder, and the reality is that guy's probably not factually inaccurate, but the purpose, what's in someone's head that they want to spread that into the universe? You know what I mean?
It's funny because I was talking to Brandon, who's in our weight loss group.
Right.
And he's cranking. He's
Killing
losing
it.
a lot of weight.
Strong kid.
He is awesome. And he got into like the 1,000-pound club.
Yeah.
And I was like laughing, and we were going on a walk, and he's got a good sense of humor, so he got what I said. And I didn't mean anything by it, but I said, yeah, you wrote like I got in the 1,000-pound club. My first reaction is a Mark Bell response, which would have been, yeah, I did that in 3rd grade. And he just he laughed, and he goes, yeah, he goes, you guys are animals. I go, look, I didn't actually mean that.
Right.
I think it's awesome what you've done, and that's actually a great accomplishment. But it's like that would have been my response, in my old wise ass days. And he took it great, but like that's how, Mark and I are like. So it's like if I really wanted to be that asshole on Instagram, I could easily be that. I have.
There's levels to this game. That Brandon is stronger than probably 85% of the world, but there's people that are the 95th, 98th, 99th percentile.
What I find in these guys that are bigger dudes, like I had Fernando deadlifting, and it's just like it's so easy for him, and he's deadlifting with his cousin Leo, and Leo was like 300 and something pounds, and Leo lost 100 pounds, and it was interesting to watch them deadlift together because like Fernando could just move weight like boom because he's a big dude, but I think it's like he feels comfortable and accomplished when he's doing it.
Why wouldn't you?
It's really cool to see how like happy he is. Now I've not talked to Fernando, but he's got like tattoos everywhere, tattoos on his face, right? I'm figuring like he's like one of the nicest people I know, and but I know there's something within, there's like a beast within him, I don't know what it is because I've never talked to him about any of that other stuff. I just want to get to like know him better, right? But like I know that there's like he can ignite that fire that he needs to get to the weight that he wants to be. He's a savage. Like he definitely has that killer instinct in him, and so does Brandon. Brandon's just like got this great attitude where I almost feel like he's doing too much. It's like he came on board to this weight loss program and doesn't realize that he's like as heavy as he is, and he's doing things, and I'm like, just like be careful because you're going so full blast that I don't want you to burn out, right? Because he's going so like, he's doing some really interesting things and training really hard. And I just love to see that, and the last thing I want to see with any of these guys is to see anybody get hurt,
Right.
or anybody bomb out,
Right.
And Jerome, who's our guy, that's like, he's kind of like, I think as far as like our group goes, he probably has like the least experience, right? And I love watching him lift because his squats are amazing. He does go all the way down, like really super deep, but he's just going really light right now. And I said, listen, there is nothing wrong with what you're doing. What you're doing is amazing. And I just want to see that kid keep doing it, because if he keeps doing that, the weights will go up and up and up and up, and he's just not focusing on it right now. And like, we don't really want him to. So we've had a lot of cool stuff going on here at the gym. The gym's been packed. It's been rocking. We have a weight loss group with people losing weight. Everybody in there is cranking pretty well. We have some girls that came and trained yesterday, that are beasts, that are going to do some damage in the powerlifting world when we get them competing again. And we also have this kid, Alex, that I'm really excited about. Alex is 20 years old, and he can deadlift 755 pounds, which is about 200 pounds more than I ever did. It's crazy to watch this kid lift. He's 20 years old. He's the most humble, nice kid I've met in a long time. We were talking, and I said, what you need to do is you need to go home and you need to watch Barry Sanders of Football Life, because he told me that, he goes, I see people at the meets and they get all pumped and they're yelling and screaming and they're like cheering when they're done. I go, listen, Mark and I were never like that either. It wasn't in our personality. So we would walk out silently with like our head down, get on the bench and just lift, and we'd lift more than most of the other people in the meet. We never yelled, we never screamed, we never did anything like that. Kind of like Barry Sanders, who would score a touchdown and he would hand the ball to the referee. And people thought that was so weird.
He high-stepped a little bit on the way in, though, remember?
He did one time. He said that he put his hands over his head when he scored a touchdown, and he didn't like the way it felt. So he just...
Really?
Yeah, so if you watch that...
That was just the one time I probably saw it then.
You watch that Football Life, and he just... They must show him with like 30 touchdowns where he just hands the ref the ball.
He went into that his whole career knowing he was just plain and simple more athletically gifted than everybody else, and he knew that if he worked hard, he would be the best in the game.
Yeah, Mark and I used to joke that he must be wearing like women's panties. Like, he must have like a silk thong, like, to move like that, to be able to like maneuver.
Speaking of women's panties, I had a realization today. I walked that 4 miles yesterday. I had a realization.
In women's panties.
Exactly.
In sheath underwear?
My inner thighs were not chafed at all. And I was like, how did you get through that without having like rubbed my, like when you're a fat guy, the thighs.
Well,
and I apparently I didn't. Apparently I had good walking form good hip rotation.
Let's get real serious here.
Do
you wear like boxer briefs, boxers, briefs?
Boxer briefs and some joggers, high and tight.
Yeah, so boxer briefs like more like an Under Armour type underwear. Or
not they're pretty loose fitting, but they're boxer briefs.
Yeah, I think
they're not those skin tight ones that are almost like spandex.
But they're not regular boxers. You'll chafe the shit out of yourself.
Oh yeah, not
old
regular
boxers.
No, yeah, I gave up on those. Boxer briefs were one of switching to boxer briefs was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life.
And I think that's something that people need to know. If you're chafing you got to buy the boxer briefs. And I used to get the Under Armour boxer briefs. I just like they have good underwear, and it's like it's kind of expensive, but not really. I mean, you wear underwear every day, and they kind of need to be good. And so I must have like 30 pair of Under Armour underwear.
By the way,
but you got to get the long ones. You can't buy the 3-inch. You got to buy the 6-inch. Otherwise, you can chafe.
Okay, something we might want to consider. Every now and then I get comments like, "Hey, how do I get to be part of the Carb Warriors?" Or do I have to go to the super training gym to be involved with this?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, these are people that live out of state.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, maybe down the road we start a Discord or a Patreon or something like that. Well, I think people want to.
No, you're right. You're exactly.
I think they want to get involved, and they want a way to just almost to say like, "Hey, I'm here with you guys."
You're exactly right, and I would love to do that. And if it's something that you think we could have fun with, and that you'd like to help with,
okay,
then we should definitely talk about it, because I think a Discord or some sort of like thing would be amazing. And like we could have meetings online. We could have whatever's cool. I mean, I am down to host like an hour-long meeting once a week. We could do it right from here. We could do like a thing where we, it's just for the people in the group, or I don't know exactly how to do all that stuff.
I'll research Patreon versus Discord and kind of bring like the advantages and disadvantages on each one.
It just seems like we have a great group of people. Mark and I know what to do. We have good plans to get people out of things. And it's kind of crazy. We were talking about this the other day. Nuance does not sell.
No, it doesn't.
And Mark and I are a lot about nuance. And the only way to get people on nuance is to sell them on you, like on us, right? Like, so when I talk to people, I try to get them in a more of a mindset of like, look, everything that you do is going to need to change at some point. Like, so whatever it is, it's an exercise program, a diet, or whatever, at some point it needs to like evolve and change. And I'd rather teach you how to evolve and change along with what's going on with your body than to like just teach you like, hey, don't eat carbs. That's it. We're done. See you later. Now that does work. But as you know, it works for only a certain amount of time and then it stops. I haven't eaten a carb. So this weekend, I'll get to my carb story of this weekend. But before this weekend, I hadn't eaten carbs for like, since we started the thing. Like I went war on carbs. I went really deep.
And real deep in January.
Yeah, and I didn't. Well, even after that, like when we started this,
like
group.
That's when you like hit the full gas was in January, like early January.
Well, no, that was the World Carnivore Month. But after World Carnivore Month, when we started this group, I think it was in what is it now? April. I think we started it it was in the beginning of April.
That would be like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long.
Yeah, not that long ago.
It might have been in March, right? So say we started in March. I hadn't eaten carbs since then, and I sort of just stuck with everything because everybody else was doing it. And I got to a point where I actually wasn't losing weight; I was gaining weight. And right now, like yesterday, before I went on my carb binge, I weighed like 210 pounds, and I was 185 even in World Carnivore Month, right? So, but my body fat didn't go up, and like that's the difference. And it's hard for me to like watch the scale and the body fat, and it's like it hasn't gone up, but like I still worry about the scale. I have a phobia of I don't want to be where I used to be. Like when I went to rehab, I was like 247 pounds around there. I'm like, I don't ever want to get back up there again. So when I see the scale go back up to 210, even if I'm all muscle, like I'm still only like 5'6". So that's not great, And so I get a little crazy about it. So what I decided to do this weekend was to add in some carbs. And like I say, how we ebb and flow with everything and so it was a really easy switch, right? So people go, what do you do? Like, you're eating all this fat, and then, like, you can't just go to carbs, right? And, like, yeah, you absolutely can. So on Saturday when I came home from the gym, I did it, like, 2 days in a row. So Saturday after my training, I came home, and I had a cup and a half of rice with a Piedmontese steak, a Piedmontese center cut ribeye, 75 grams of protein, and it has, like, 5 grams of fat. So I ate that and a cup of rice. That's a lot less calories than eating like, 2 normal steaks or whatever else I would eat. That's like for that amount of calories, that is so satiating. And then what I found is that like, oh, if I eat that, I'm actually not hungry till like way, way later. And so now I'm debating on like whether to add carbs in like full time once a day. But I also find that like once I have that carb meal, I don't feel like eating any more protein. And so I got to be like real careful with like how I structure things.
Don't like a lot of athletes do like that CKD, cyclogenic keto diet, like once a week they have like a refill day.
It's carb cycling. It's been around forever, right?
Right.
And Mark and I have been doing this since like the 90s, like where we used to have a diet. I can explain my old diet. This is amazing. So at first, my buddy Ron Fedko, who's an absolute genius, he literally is a genius. He won an Academy Award. He's an Oscar winner for figuring out how to make like water for like Titanic, like how the ripples in the water and all this stuff with special effects. Like, he's the guy that figured it all out. But he's also the maniac that looked me dead in the eye and said, I want you to eat red meat and water until further notice. And that was when I was in college, And he, at the time, he was at UCLA and I was at USC, and he was getting his PhD, and he was a power lifter. So he basically trained Mike O'Hearn and I, and he was the one that put me on a red meat and water diet. After I did the red meat and water diet for like about 6 months, which is basically called carnivore now, he put me on another diet, which was absolutely amazing. And the way that this diet worked, and this is cool, if like anybody wants to do this, this is a perfectly fine diet. We cycled the diet with the training. So because he was training me also, he knew like for example, on Saturdays, we would deadlift. Every Saturday we deadlift, right? So that on Friday, so it was like, you'd have carbs like a couple times a week. So you'd go like Monday through Friday. I'm trying to think of like exactly how it was structured. No, I remember we deadlifted on Friday. And so Thursday, we were allowed to have fruit. So it was like no carbs, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday, you eat all the same protein, but you eat as much fruit as you need to get fired up for deadlifts, right? Deadlifts were on Friday. We train our faces off. And Friday's a no carb day. You can't have any carbs at all. And then Saturday, you could eat whatever you wanted. It was like a cheat day. Just have whatever you want, but you had to make sure that you got your protein in. And then Sunday was a modified carb day where you could have like, you would only able to have like a cup of rice. And then you'd start like with your other protein. And then you'd start over again. Mm-hmm. And it was really interesting how it like, for me at the time I was in college, it kept me so excited about training and about the diet, and like it would get me excited about, I get to eat fruit today because I'm going to deadlift tomorrow, And when you squat on Monday, so it all made sense because like Monday, that modified carb day, you're not still bloated from your cheat day, and you have some carbs in you still, but it's not a whole lot. And then you completely cut them like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday you get to have fruit again. So it kept variety in the diet. It kept I did really well. I broke some state records, which are probably obliterated by now. But back then I had broken some state records by just following that simple diet and continuing my powerlifting and not getting any heavier while doing it. I think a really cool thing about these diets is like Matt Vincent said this. My friend Matt Vincent said, Mark asked him a question. He's like, what's your goal? What's your goal? Like, where do you want to be next year? And he said, my only goal is I want to be 1 pound lighter than I was, this year.
And that guy, what an interesting guy to follow on Instagram. He looks like he is living his best life right now.
He looks great now. But like, think about that. He said, as we age, and he went and like looked up the stats and everything. But like, as we age, look at how many people gain weight from like, from high school to like the end of college or whatever, right? And they gained all this weight. Well, what if their only goal was I want to weigh a pound less than I weigh right now? And so for people that aren't, I should say, like needing to lose a lot of weight, that should be somewhere in your mind of like, what's your goal for the year? Whether your goal is to make $1 million, whatever, part of your goal should be like to just try to weigh a pound less than you did last year at this time, because that's health and that's longevity, and that's what longevity is really about. Is and if you're massively out of shape, then the goal would be like, let me get in better shape first, and then get to that 1 pound a year thing. But for Matt at the time, like he wasn't ripped or anything, and he wasn't trying. Now he's pretty ripped,
pretty
he's
lean guy.
He's pretty ripped by just doing what we keep saying, consistency.
Yeah, true.
How's your consistency been?
I was a little off last week. I had kind of had the blues. I sort of I kind of had a epiphany of sorts yesterday driving to that walk.
You walked with Mark?
I walked with Mark. We did like a 3.5 mile walk, and then we took another walk around a city block.
Congratulations. That's incredible.
Thank you.
Because I know how hard it is for you to walk like long distances. We walked to Starbucks here, and that was as far as you'd gone.
I mean, do you remember when we got back together in September, just walking from the front door to the back door?
Well, I got really sad because I asked if you wanted to go for a walk with me. And then when you did go for a walk, it was pretty short. and it kind of just like, I like to see you succeed.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't like to see anybody in pain and like feet just hurt too bad. I'm like, shit, because I know what it feels
I
like.
mean, so in the last 6 months to 9 months, I had such problems in my back where my lower back and my hips were just so out of alignment that my back would start burning, immediately. If I was standing, I'd be doing dishes in the sink and I'm there for 6, 7 minutes. It's just the back is just, I'd say I'm burning. My back's on fire.
That happens to people when they take like Tren. I think it's Tren or maybe Deca.
I'm busted.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
busted.
Like people do. Like people take Deca. I think it's Deca. Take Deca, and they'll do like 5 or 6 reps on a deadlift, and they can't lift anymore. They're like their back gets so blown up with blood. Oh my god, my back! Like
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you get these spasms from it.
Right. Oh, so blown up with blood. That's what it was because during the walk, I started really feeling it in my front right shin. And so, yeah, I mean, so just to think I went from 50 yards being a challenge to, we did 4 miles and I went home and I was off my feet most of yesterday, but I'm up today. I got a couple little blisters and little owies here and there, but I'm going to take a small walk today, have a small workout today, time depending. And yeah, big deal. But I sort of realized I had surrendered to this whole notion, and I'm not saying that I am wrong in this, but I surrendered to this whole notion that I'm more successful when life is manageable. But then when life gets unmanageable, I really start to fall apart. And life got a little unmanageable last week. Kids in trouble in school, wife lamenting about what wives often lament about and stuff like that. And I just sort of, next thing you know, I don't go grocery shopping. I run out of meat in the house. You can only try to, DoorDash Safeway meat to your house, but so much. Yeah. And I just sort of fell off for like 3 or 4 days. It wasn't a massive binge. I think I'm still negative on the scale.
What do you eat when you fall off? What'd you eat? What'd you eat last week? Just be honest. It doesn't.
I had
you're
like
here with me, Russell.
Yeah,
be honest.
it's just us and a few hundred friends.
Yeah.
I had like Arby's. I had like a roast Arby's sandwich one day. I had sandwiches. I was like really.
You're into bread.
I mean, I do love me some bread. Yeah. I really do love me some bread. I had like Subway sandwich one day. I wasn't like binge eating, like eating all day, eating all bad. I was pretty. I think but I wasn't. It started with like last week or the week before. I did a really big back workout, and everything was so sore. I told my wife I'm sore in between my knuckles. I'm sore between my shoulders. I'm sore all the way down my back, and I just didn't want to move. I wasn't going outside. I wasn't getting any sunshine. Next thing you know, the fridge is, and this was only like for a few days. It wasn't like I had this existential crisis and I've been on this giant binger. But we ran out of red meat in the house, and I'm just like, ugh. I just sort of cumulatively, and then I started feeling kind of blue. I was like, I wasn't moving. I stopped getting sunshine. My diet started to fall off, and I started feeling like shit. And it all snowballed. It all snowballed into a big pile.
It's really easy to get negative, and like a lot of times for me, like what I do, people, it's what gets negative is the weirdest thing. It's like people trying to be nice to me will get me in a really bad mood about myself because like everybody wants to know like when's your next documentary coming out?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you know how much money it takes to make a documentary? You know how hard it is? You know how many people you need? Like, you know what it really takes to make it? Like, I don't have that right now. I don't have, and it makes me feel bad every time somebody asks me what I'm doing. Because I'm not really doing anything that I want to be doing for money because it's a different world out there. And, I've been looking at it going like, am I just complaining too much or could I actually sit down and make a movie? And I'm at a point right now, I'm like, I could probably make a movie right now, but it's going to be a different movie than what people expect. Like, I honestly feel like if I made a movie now and I'm tempted to do this is like to move forward, like just with an iPhone, just to show up at like,
right.
Show up for an interview with somebody like famous. And yeah, we're shooting on my.
You know what?
And see what happens.
Maybe that's the move. But
because it takes away all these other things that have been the barrier. So like people go, what's the barrier making a movie? Like, well, the money.
Right.
The only money I'd really need would be to like travel somewhere.
Yeah.
And the other part is like it's hard to shoot yourself.
Right.
I need somebody like with me to shoot, but like I wouldn't need nearly as much money or resources to do something, you know.
It can
like
get
that.
smaller. But let me just sort of button up. So what I was saying is, so all in all, like since the recession of 2008, Rebecca and I went through a giant, like we definitely got caught up in the tidal wave of 2007, 2008, 2009. She's in nursing school. We end up having these two great, wonderful kids, find out that, you know, they're on the spectrum and they're a little bit more challenging in some ways. And God bless them. They're great kids. Start doing it. I started getting really stressed. I started dealing with a lot of anxiety. And I think somewhere along the way, I sort of surrendered to this notion. I really fall off when my life gets unmanageable. And so that's what I was saying Sunday, driving to that walk and taking the walk and driving home. I really sort of realized I need to start working on being more resilient.
Do you remember where you were weight wise in like 2008?
About 340. About 340.
Yeah.
I could stay together to about 310, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
That, I mean, I still remember being 310 and racing guys.
How tall are you? You're pretty tall.
Just a pinch under 6 foot even. A short
To
stub.
me, anybody over 5'6" is tall.
Yeah, that's fair. You know, tall torso, short legs.
Yeah.
So,
And when you were in the Army, how much did you weigh then? What was that weight?
I was skinny and kind of weak at 197.
197.
Once I was actually like pretty healthy in the Army, around 210. So, 275. I felt pretty good at 275. I could still go jog a few miles at 275, and then eventually, you know, one day around 320, 330, my brother said, "Hey, let's go for a jog." I hurt my left knee, and then my ankle started to get eviscerated every time I started using the elliptical. So all that to being said, though, I really think it's important just to sort of fight this point through. I've challenged myself to not get shaken so easily, that not, you know. And when people people go, "Well, God, yeah, don't be a puss." Hey, man, I agree. You know, yeah. I'm embarrassed that I get mad, like swamp sweat down my neck and back when I get stressed out around my kids or around stressful situations in general. Like I used to feel like I could handle stress a lot better. So, you know, it's a journey, right? I'm 47, still trying to figure shit out.
Yeah.
You know, still trying to figure
it's
shit
tough.
out.
I mean, like for me, like my biggest issue is like I think the easiest way for me to be in amazing shape is just to not be so isolated. You know, like for COVID. So going into COVID, I was single. Coming out of COVID, I'm still single, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really difficult. You know,
Yeah.
It's like I'd love to be dating somebody that's awesome, but that's the problem is like I don't meet people that are awesome. I have a pretty high there's a pretty high bar if you want to hang out with me. Like you have to do, you know, you don't have to do anything, but you have to be on the same level as far as like you're committed to your health. You know, you want to like people that like to work out. You know,
Common interests
there's a lot of stuff, and it's like, and in general, I've always found in my entire life is girls don't like the stuff that I like. I like Metallica, and I like lifting weights, you know, and I like eating red meat, and it's like all the opposite. It's all the things that, you know, telling me maybe I should be playing for the other team.
Right.
If that's what, if I don't want to be lonely. You know, it's like, well, every guy likes that shit, right?
Right.
But yeah, I think like to me that's the biggest challenge is just like trying to, you know, I don't know. I've found myself like my biggest problem is being alone and then just eating because I'm alone. Like I'm by myself and there's nothing else to do. I've watched everything on TV. It's like, okay, well, I'll make another steak or I'll make another, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm usually eating all good food. This is what's interesting to me is I'm usually eating all good food, but I found, and probably the reason why my body fat hasn't gone up is I just keep stuffing myself with protein every night.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I don't want to. I'd rather go to bed hours earlier, but I have trouble sleeping. It's all a mess. So it's like, yeah, we just have to handle what we can handle. And we have to, like I said, learn to be more resilient with like what our own issues are. We all have our own, you know, separate issues. And then, you know, as far like for me, I come to this gym, which is a private gym, and everybody that works here is already married or has a girlfriend or like whatever, boyfriend. So it's like I don't meet any women at the gym. I don't meet them. I don't go out.
So you're saying we need to find the nearest Planet Fitness and just once a week go get it in at Planet Fitness just for you to get around.
Yeah, like, well, to me, it's like that wouldn't be somebody I'd be interested in. Their Planet Fitness.
I'll tell you. I'm just going to tell you. I'm just going to tell you as a person that has a Planet Fitness membership, there are some fit, gorgeous women there getting it done at Planet Fitness. I'm just telling you because I think like these traditional barbell gyms are just harder and harder to find.
Yeah.
And there's one or two Planet Fitnesses in every town, right? 24-hour fitness sort of always dirty.
I actually have been thinking this.
Sorry,
is a
24-hour
completely
fitness.
different
You know
topic,
it's true
but
though.
This can all run together. I feel like I was going to join another gym just to have something to do at night, so I go do like this gym is too far away.
That's what I'm saying.
To come to like at 7:00 at night. I don't feel like getting in my car and driving 25 minutes. But I'll just drive right down the street, pop in, and do like an hour of cardio on a step mill.
Right.
And perhaps there is beautiful women there. I don't know.
You know, sometimes it's,
But there isn't any 24-hour fitnesses or Planet Fitness by where I live.
No, like you say, I have one just a couple miles down the street that's 24-hour set.
There's
24/7.
one by here, but I wouldn't join a Planet Fitness here.
Right.
But there is a Get Fit Davis. You can just pop in there and see what's going on. Maybe I'll pop in there tonight and do some video.
Why not,
You
right?
can just drop in, right?
Right. Yeah.
But you know, like that, I think we all have our own issues and challenges of like why we're not doing, you know, what we should be doing. And then you find people that are like pretty outstanding, like Mark. You know, I'd say Mark is pretty outstanding, and it's like he's got his stuff squared away pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but he's worked hard at all that and like earned all that. You know, like got his family life, he's got his gym life. Like he wants to be here every day. He doesn't come here because he's got nowhere else to go. He comes here because like he's got shit to get done and he's got stuff to get done all day, and then he goes home. He's got his family, and a lot of that stuff keeps him occupied. And for me, what's weird is like I would think like, okay, well, I have all this time. I have like more free time, so I have more time to like work on things. But I find that time is unproductive when you have too much of it. Like I don't know why, but it's like to me, the less time I have, the more stuff I get done. You know?
Yeah.
It's like a human nature.
I have to surrender to the notion that unless my living room is a place to kick it, you know what I mean? And I need to be intentional. Like if I want to do something more than just kicking it, I need to be in a different place than my living room.
Yeah.
Right. I have to either be in my office working on some editing for something, or here, or you know, or in the gym.
Yeah.
You know, that's more productive places for me. I think what's great about Mark is he seems to stay. He's very intentional. He doesn't seem to lose his focus.
Any work done at home. I don't know why. It doesn't feel like a workplace for me. And it used to. You know, I used to write scripts all the time. I used to sit and write. And the magic of that got lost in the fact that, like, I've written scripts that have been read by the top people in Hollywood. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck read my scripts. Like, Peter Berg's read my scripts. Like, you know, top people, like, this is really good. I want to maybe make this. And then things just don't happen, right, the right way. And so after you get shut down 1,000 times, you just say, well, what am I going to waste my time sitting around writing something else for? They're going to read it and just tell me it's okay and not make it. Or they'll tell me it's great, and then it won't get made. You know, and I was actually thinking today, I had written this script called The Legend of Red Demon, and it's insane. It's like a Mexican wrestling superhero movie where all the moves are like pro wrestling, but it's like dark, like Batman. So it's got like this Batman vibe where it's like there's this, you know, kid who's been picked on his whole life and whatever, but when he's young, he gets saved by the Red Demon, who's like a lucha libre wrestler. Well, long story short, that guy ends up getting murdered in the ring, and the only one that can sort of take up the mantle is this kid who's been picked on and beat up his whole life, and he's got to like train and become the Red Demon and keep the bloodline going. But what you don't know is that the whole thing is actually like a giant global like underground war that's going on, that's being battled in the ring. So while the kid thinks he's like just becoming a wrestler, it's like the wrestling matches represent what like the actual
Oh, wow.
power struggle in the world.
Wow.
And so it's really interesting and crazy. And like Peter Berg was like, I'm gonna make this. Let's do this. And he basically Peter Berg was sitting in his office. He had his glasses on. I got done with the pitch, and this will make at least $1 billion. And then they went and made Battleship. And that's my life. You know what I mean? That's how things happen to me. So he told me like this will make $1 billion, and then like nothing ever happened with it. And that's like, that's always that's where you get rejected, and you're like, I know I probably shouldn't say fuck it, but it's like when you don't see an outcome for something,
right.
It's hard to,
Yeah,
you got to see a finish line.
That's why, if nothing else, and maybe I'm being naive, man, and maybe I'm being well wishing. I really believe somehow this is a vehicle to your creativity.
Yeah.
And whether this, I don't know if this is ever going to be like the highest form of your creativity, but I feel like somehow this can just sort of keep
things
it.
come back around again. Like now that I'm thinking of it, and I'm thinking of the script and like the artwork we did, like the guy who drew the Death of Superman comic, John Bogdanov,
Mm-hmm.
he's the guy that drew the artwork for my Mexican wrestling movie. It looks sick, right? Like I'll show it to you after. You'll be like, holy shit.
Yeah, that sounds dope.
And there's no reason that now that like somebody like John Cena's out of wrestling, like, hey.
So has he retired?
Kind of.
Kind
but
of.
like, hey, like, why don't we get this made?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like there is a reason to maybe go revisit these things. Now that I think of it, I had another script that was really, really great. Like I just love stories.
Uh-huh.
I love really good stories. And when Mad Dog died, I was talking to my friend Nick on the phone. I remember like I said, hold on, my dad's calling me. Let me call you right back. And Nick and I were writing a show at the time for Comedy Central, which is a whole nother story. I didn't
know that.
Yeah, we sold a show to Comedy Central, and we were like writing it. And in the middle of writing that, of talking to him, I got a phone call from my dad who just basically said, your brother died.
Oh.
And I was like, what? And he's like, Mad Dog, he's dead. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And then I basically was in my house. I fell to my knees, and I was in my bathroom. For whatever reason, there's this book on the counter, and it's called Blood in the Cage. And it's the Furious Rise. It's Pat Miletich and the Furious Rise of the UFC. That's what the book is. And for whatever reason, I was on my knees and I was crying. And I stood up and I saw that book just sitting on my counter. And I'm like, wait a second. This book, this guy's brother, like 2 of his brothers died and one ended up in prison. I'm like, I need to read it again. I went back and read it, and like the whole story is that Pat Miletich, who's one of the greatest influences in all of mixed martial arts, he basically like, I don't want to say he invented mixed martial arts, but he kind of invented mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
Before that, it was all just like this guy's Kenpo karate, and this guy's judo, and this guy does whatever,
Right.
So they all had different disciplines, and Pat was the first guy who was like, I'm kind of a wrestler, but I was never really good at that either. Like I just fight, and it was mainly because he would fight people at bars. And so I went back and I read the book, and I realized that like, oh, his older brother died, who was his hero, and he somehow got through it. And then you go back through reading the book, and you realize older brother died because he went and made millions of dollars in Texas, and came back with his tail between his legs because he lost it all in like hookers and gambling. So the idol became sort of like Mad Dog. The idol became somebody that you don't really idolize anymore. When he came back, Pat was like working on asphalt. Like it was called Hawkeye. They always said that they were going to wrestle for the Iowa Hawkeyes because they were in Iowa. And it ends up that they both end up working for Hawkeye Paving. So like, it's like this shitty summer job in the middle of Iowa in the heat every day. And Pat's brother, when he came back with his tail between his legs and had lost all his money, he said, hey, can you get me a job? And to Pat Miletich, that was like really depressing. Like my brother made tons of money. He blew it all. Now he's asking me for a job. Well, literally like one of the first nights on the job, the brother is out there on the roads, they're paving, and he gets hit by a semi. And so Pat and his other brother raced down to the scene to like, they heard about it. because they work there too, you know. So they race down the scene to see what happens, and Pat actually finds like his brother's shoe, and he picks up his brother's shoe, and like part of his toe falls out of the shoe, like a bloody toe, like it got severed and like fell. So basically, the brother got completely destroyed. They had a closed casket funeral, like whole deal, and it was just like a brutal time. And because of that, his second brother ends up robbing kind of going off the deep end, robbing a liquor store with a gun, and ends up getting sent to prison for 15 years. And as all that's happening, the other brother ends up committing suicide because of the two other brothers and the shit that they went through, and the fact that their dad was an alcoholic and very abusive. And I wrote that as a movie. The movie's called Runt, because there is this really great story that I heard on. I always try to take things from other things and put it in something, right? So the whole idea of Runt was like, well, I'm the runt of the family. Like, I'm the little guy, you know? And so to me, I really connected with it. And there's a story that was on Hard Knocks. You ever seen Hard Knocks?
Yeah.
It was Hard Knocks with the Jets.
Okay. I think I watched that season.
This is one of the most amazing stories. They were talking about a guy who was undersized. Well, he's undersized. You know, I don't know if he can play here. He's too small. He's not going to make it. He's not going to be any good.
Corner, right?
And what the coach said, he's like, well, you know about like sheepdog, right? And he's telling the guy in front of the other coaches. He goes, you know what a sheepdog is, right? And the guy goes, yeah. And he goes, well, sheepdog, when sheepdog have like puppies, they'll put all the puppies out and they'll take the runt and they'll mark it with a big X. And he's like, well, why do they do that? And he goes, because if the runt survives, it becomes the toughest son of a bitch in the pack. And it just fired that guy up to get the position that he always wanted, that he didn't think he could get because he's the runt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm like, oh, that's a great title for a movie. That's like a great, you know, thing. To me, that's like the Rocky story. It's the modern day Rocky story. And the other thing that's amazing about Runt is that at the same time, there's these guys trying to figure out, what if a karate guy fought a boxer? What if a boxer fought a judo guy? Who would win? You know, and it's got these two elements to it, where one element is these super rich guys discussing like who'd win in a fight, and then having this like small town Iowa feel to it. So like it goes back and forth from like New York City high rise skyscrapers. There's even a scene where there's people playing polo. These guys were like the guys that came up with the UFC,
Mm-hmm.
they were originally like promoting New Kids on the Block concerts. And so they were actually at a polo match when one guy's like, well, who would win, a boxer or a wrestler? I'm like, oh, Mike Tyson, he'd kill anybody. I'm like, yeah, but what if the guy knew how to take out his legs? I'm like, well, I don't know about that. Who's going to take out his legs? Like Dan Gable. Like they're putting up all these different names. What if this guy, you know, who was actually originally involved in creating the original UFC is John Milius, who wrote Conan the Barbarian.
No
Or
kidding.
directed Conan the Barbarian.
Oh, okay.
Conan the Barbarian, oddly enough, you know who wrote that?
Who?
Take a guess.
I'll never tell you. I'll never know.
I'll never tell you.
I have no idea.
Oliver Stone.
Oh, shit.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Yeah, he was I think him and John Milius might have wrote it together. But so here's how crazy the UFC was in the beginning. They're throwing around, they're pitching ideas. Imagine like this pitch meeting. To me, this is fun in a movie.
Yeah.
Like, what a great fucking scene. Like, this is maybe, even now that I'm thinking about it, maybe we take this and we turn it into like an HBO series, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's before even Dana White comes in, but he can come in season 5. But the way that the whole UFC got started was like a bunch of guys sitting around as the Gracies, and this guy, Bob Meyerowitz, who had done all the New Kids on the Block concerts and shit. It's called like SKG Promotions. And they got John Milius involved because he was a Hollywood screenwriter. Like, we'll bring in a screenwriter. He'll make it great. John Milius's idea was to have it in a circular cage with a moat around it with alligators in it. Like, for real. Like, that was the pitch. Because they were like, we pitched some pretty bad ideas. You want to hear some of them?
Wow.
And that was one of them, to have like, where like there's no getting out of this. Even if you try to escape the cage, there's going to be alligators in a moat, right?
Wow.
So it's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But what I love about it is that even like the UFC itself had all these growing pains, right? So you think, oh, they just created the UFC and these guys are rich or whatever. That thing faced so many battles against like John McCain, against all the different governments. And what's really cool is the reason why that's included in the story is because Pat Miletich pretty much wiped up the floor with John McCain on like CNN interview, where John McCain was calling it like human cockfighting and all this stuff, and Pat Miletich just kind of like went on and destroyed him and said, "Well, doesn't your wife work for Anheuser-Busch and they're big in the boxing?" Just like frankly, like, hey, look, I know how this is. You're a politician. Like, let's just be frank. I'm a Republican. You're a Republican. He's like, we can agree on that at least. But I also know that your wife is her family is heavily involved in Anheuser-Busch, and they own the biggest Anheuser-Busch factory in Missouri and or Arizona. That's where he was, Arizona. And he's like, I know that, and I know that you have a vested interest in keeping boxing alive, killing this off. And he just kind of obliterated McCain. And so, to me, that's really cool. It's like the kid from the, streets of Iowa that grew up broke ends up breaking into the sport and then like defending the sport and being a reason why it's still around today. Like, he was a big part of that. Him and Ken Shamrock also was on an interview on CNN where he like destroyed some of the.
There's a couple of Shamrock brothers that was famous.
Frank Shamrock.
Was Frank the one that did the fighting against Royce Gracie?
Ken Shamrock was.
Okay, I met Frank Shamrock. Okay, I've met Frank Shamrock before.
Yeah, Frank Shamrock. They're both really interesting stories. Not like real brothers either, which is weird.
Adopted brothers, right?
They're both shredded.
Yeah.
They both look awesome.
Both into MMA.
Yeah.
MMA legends.
Yeah, I used to love Ken Shamrock. He was like my favorite guy.
Yeah.
I don't know why, just because he was always like jacked and shredded, like he always looked awesome.
Yeah.
I know the problem with a lot of these guys and like Chuck Liddell and stuff like that is they fight too far past their prime. And that brings me to Tyson Fury. Did you see him this weekend?
I just saw the knockout.
90,000 people. That's like more people than were at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But like 90,000 people, he boxed in front of 90,000 people in Wembley Stadium, and he retired.
He retired.
And to go back to like Barry Sanders, we were talking about before, I think going out on top is the best thing you can do.
And he just wants to do one more like trophy fight against Ngannou, right? And that's it. He wants to do one more against Ngannou. It's just like not a like a pro, like almost like
he said he'll never come back to boxing. So if he comes back, it will be in a capacity. So I actually think he's going to go to the WWE.
Okay.
He is an entertainer through and through.
Yes.
He would be so awesome in wrestling.
He'd be great to be like a manager though, since he's a little older, right? And a big dude, he probably wouldn't take those big bumps.
No, he's.
Can you imagine him? Can you imagine him bouncing off the mat like say
The guys are a lot bigger than you think, though. So guys like Kane and The Undertaker, like they're that tall too.
I mean, they're giant.
Yeah, they're that tall too.
But
there's several guys that are that big in WWE.
He's not a young man anymore. That floor is
35.
I mean,
look him up.
All right,
Tyson Fury. He can't be that old, right?
Well, I mean, I say that's enough to not want to bounce off the ground.
I mean, how old would you be?
28. That's it.
Tyson Fury. There he is. Type in age. Oh, age 33. He's 33.
Okay.
Yeah, he's fine.
Fine. Okay. Yeah, he's
6'9", 278.
Is it wrong to say he looks older than what he is? Does he
no,
not look a little
had
older?
A bunch of crazy mental health issues, and he ballooned up to like over 400 pounds.
He had some rough years.
And then he got back in shape.
Yeah.
I think, like, if you could make a documentary about any, like, well, not you. If
Yous in the world.
If I knew Tyson Fury, I'd be asking him to make a documentary about him. I think it'd be the sickest sports documentary ever made.
Yeah, definitely.
To me, he's like the one. He single-handedly brought boxing back. I couldn't wait to see him fight this weekend. I was like, you know what I mean? Like, I just think he's awesome. I think he's he's actually named after Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I heard that.
You know?
Yeah.
And when they told him, like, hey, you know, you won today, you beat this guy, whatever, like, you know, you're going to go out on top and blah, blah. And he's like, what do you have to say to your opponent? And he's like, I just want to say to my opponent that he's a great guy, did a great job in there. And he's like, what are you going to do? I mean, it's not like he's fighting a legend. He's like, and he says it with like no, like, you know what I mean? It's like, he's fighting a legend. I mean, how many people have been undefeated in this sport, never taken a loss.
He's
never,
cleaned out the division.
Yeah, exactly.
He's cleaned out the division.
And
Yeah.
he's like, how many people can you say have done that? And like, I mean, you got to hand it to this guy. I mean, he just got beat up by a legend.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was so awesome,
Mm-hmm.
and just so interesting. But that's
fair.
But the fact that, look at Tyson, type in Tyson Fury fat, see what happens.
That.
A father comes up. Click images. Click.
There we go.
Okay, so look at that, man. It's not even like, so click on that second. Wait. Go
That's-
back to,
Back out.
yeah, to the third one over, fourth one over. That one.
That's yeah.
Oh, that's Klitschko on the right. Okay.
Yeah, that's
I was
Klitschko.
like, holy shit, he was that lean.
Right.
Because I don't think Tyson Fury is ever really that lean. So okay, there you go. He looks a lot better there. He always has that same build. Look up Tim Sylvia. He's built like Tim Sylvia. Do you know who that is?
Yes.
It's like it's a weird build because they're so big. Yeah, like Tim Sylvia never, like, he's like another guy like 6'8". Well, it's not even fat. He's normally.
Well, he had some husky days.
Yeah, kind of, but like, click that.
This one.
Yeah. He just never had a great physique, even when he was like leaner. So when he was like lighter, he still had that flabby belly, and that's kind of what I have. Like when I lose a bunch of weight and I get real lean, it's like I can only get to a certain leanness.
Let me ask you.
Too fat to fight.
Okay, so I'm going to bring up something to you that I think about a lot, and was even something I heard featured in the discussion with Kevin Smith and Ethan Suplee
Cool.
is they say the skin never comes all the way back. And do you think you just the more I lose, the more my skin is getting loose and flabby and all that sort of thing? Do you think you just have a byproduct of a once big belly where you just have a little bit of I used to have a belly flab?
If you look in my family, Mark was like about 300 pounds, but was interesting because a lot of that was like more in his upper body, not necessarily like in his belly. He didn't carry around, like he's never carried around a lot of belly fat,
like visceral fat.
Yeah, he's never had that. Like
that,
and I had that in a big bad way because a lot of it comes from drinking alcohol.
I mean, so I'm wondering, and I don't want to limit your goals and so forth, but that's something that that Kevin Smith and Ethan Suplee said is you the skin, no matter what they tell you, if it gets to the point where it got too big, the skin, that organ's made to grow, it's not, and it doesn't go into a shrink mode afterwards.
Well,
maybe you have just some leftover skin on top of your
otherwise
tight frame.
Yeah, there's some of that. There's some of that going on, but not a ton. But what the other thing is that and I find this myself also, I just don't know if there's actually any truth to it. When you do fasting and you lose all the weight fasting, like that guy that lost there's people that have lost like hundreds of pounds fasting that have like no extra skin, supposedly.
Some guy that worked for NASA, I saw on the Dr. Rhonda Patrick, said that he lost all his belly because he didn't eat for like a year or something.
Yeah, and so I don't know. I mean, these are like stories that we just hear.
Eat for a year.
And so the Lane Norton in me wants to say no, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
Like the guy, what's his face? The doctor, the Asian doctor, it's the Jason Fung, Dr. Jason Fung.
Yeah.
Dr. Jason Fung has a lot of great material, but he's also a what do you want to call it? Something like
an optimist?
Exaggerator.
He's an optimist.
A massive exaggerator to sell books.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he wrote a book called The Cancer Code, and it's like, dude, you can't cure cancer. So,
right.
Like, just get out of here.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. So he says that, and he's also known as one of the most full of shit keto people out there. But he also has had a lot of great stuff in the keto space too. He says that he's never had a client lose weight that's ever needed the skin, the skin tightening surgery.
Right.
He's like, I use fasting with all my people, and they fast, and they don't need that. Well, now, I don't know if that's true.
And I will tell you,
because he lies about a lot of other shit.
And sometimes people only go off of their lived experience, and their lived experience isn't necessarily, what the only thing. I just got done listening to a podcast where Kevin Smith and Ethan Suplee, they spent a good 10, 15, 20 minutes on this exact topic. The belly doesn't shrink is what they said. It just doesn't. And I mean, a lot of them resort to that skin tightening surgery. And
there's nothing wrong with that if you need it.
If you need it or want it, if you need it or want it, right? But
I have a friend that had it done. Maybe we can look her up. It's a girl, and her name is the Iron Giantess. She's about 6'3". She's really pretty, and as far as I've known her, she was always like a really big girl. Iron Giant. She was like a really she was a big girl, and she lost a ton of weight. And
this seems to be her.
Yeah. But even when she was like heavy, she was really pretty. She's like a pretty girl, and now she's doing all this crazy shit like this. But she used to be really heavy. If you look up, and she had to get the skin.
There's a girl that I think you and I and Mark follow on Instagram. I don't know if you want. I can back out of this. That's amazing, by the way. Yes.
Play that for me.
Want to go back to that?
We gotta make sure everybody sees that. Oh, now it's different.
No, we'll fix it.
I think it was on my own thing, wasn't it?
No, it was on here.
Yeah, look at this baby.
Amazing.
That's crazy, right?
Mm-hmm. So let me show you this one post real quick since we're on this topic.
Make squats. Does it say vegan protein on it?
Probably. Come on.
You're off the team.
And no. We're getting there. We're figuring it out. Life is following. Oh, and you can't do it that way?
What are you trying to do?
Find this particular, there we go. So she just got done having this surgery done. She was
fit with Jessica?
Yeah. Do I think,
follow her too?
Yeah, I think you follow her. Followers? Maybe not. Anyways, almost 100,000 followers. She just got done having
like one of the pictures here.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a before and after. So here's a before and after, right? Doing great. And then she just got done having this surgery where they tucked her all up.
Yeah, when you go back to the before and after, you see that you can see like her legs, where just unfortunate. Some people happens in the belly, some people happens like there.
See, here's more photos of it. Look at her, look at this girl.
Yeah, that's crazy.
She killed it, man. She absolutely killed it.
Yeah, that's great.
And in part of it was, I think she found some sponsor from a doctor. I don't know if that's necessarily true or not, but she ended up getting the surgery to tighten it up. But she's always going to have.
So she got the surgery to tighten it up, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like.
And she's still in recovery from that surgery, so it's real recent.
It's a hard surgery to recover from too. My friend Jordan, go to the Fit Boss. See how he's doing. We'll check in on him. My buddy Jordan was huge. He was 425 pounds or something. And then he got into power.
Look at this guy. He's killing it,
Click
dude.
on him.
Follow it.
That's my buddy. Click on him.
Right here?
Yep. It looks really good. See his stomach though? How his stomach he's got.
You can see his scar. You can see the cut marks where he got.
Yeah. So he had the skin surgery. He's like one of the nicest people I know.
I'll tell you, Chris.
Golds.
I hope one day I can be this. That's my goal right there.
Top of a mountain.
Tell him he's on top of a mountain, looking all jacked, and maybe a little bit of I had to get my man boobs lifted. It's something I think about.
Yeah, he looks good though. I mean, that's the best I've ever seen him look. Actually, click off of him quick. To his regular page.
Yeah.
And then click his before and afters. Yeah. Is that a before and after him?
Right here, huh?
Oh yeah, that's him. Yep. He definitely got on the juice. Good job, Jordan. Well, I can't say definitely, but he looks like he got on some. I hope he did.
I
He's
don't
always
think
been
that's-
into like
Is this him here,
powerlifting.
or is this someone else?
Yeah.
That's him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so in the plastic surgery, so that's a little shout out. So one of my star patients underwent a considerable weight loss transformation of about 200 pounds through determination and energy. So this is what he's done. We removed the extra skin from his chest, removed the extra breast tissue beneath the lip. Yeah, dude, this is what a great. Hey, man. Hey, I only hope that one day some plastic surgeon's like, hey, Russell, we'll do your surgery.
Well,
and
like I
floss
just
it all
said
the way around.
before, you know, how do you get sponsored with steak and steroids? Like you put in the work. Like I ate so much meat. I reached out to the company, and it helped that I had already made movies and I knew who I was. But like I just had a decent Instagram following, and I said, hey, I eat meat, red meat every single day. It's part of this carnivore diet. I think I could really do a lot to help promote you guys. So it's like the same thing. It's like like you put in the work and you get there, you'll have the same kind of thing. You know, you'll have people reach out to you, or you just reach out to them, tell them what you want to do, and it's like I know that he got that paid for by bodybuilding.com.
No shit.
Bodybuilding.com saw his transformation. Said, dude, you're awesome.
Like,
So
see,
I feel like everybody I know had some sort of sponsor pay for this kind of thing because they have some sort of presence already. Go up a little bit. Go to that one on the left. Down one more. Like that. He looks
is that
really
him?
good. I don't know.
That's not him, is it?
Oh, is that? Yeah. Oh, my buddy David, the guy that shot A Leaf of Faith, shot this.
Gosh,
That's
dang,
why it looks
dude.
so good.
Yeah, he got jacked. Good for him.
My buddy David is like the sickest. Like, look how good the cinematography is on this. That's like my boy that shoots this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's amazing. His name's My Type Productions.
You know,
I would do, like, honestly, if I could. So my not problem with him, the issue is that if I could afford to hire that guy to shoot all my stuff, we would be the most amazing team in the world. It's just that he's got to shoot stuff every day to make a living, and it would take too much time for us to like put stuff together and get it moving because he lives in Florida now. But I should hit him up because maybe he doesn't live in Florida anymore. But yeah, he shot A Leaf of Faith, and he was the best and easiest cinematographer I've ever worked with. He just does exactly what you ask him to do. He doesn't try to like interject any ideas. Like he just takes what you want to do and makes it look awesome. And that's like the job of a good cinematographer. Most of the people I work with go, that's not gonna work. And it's like, I don't want to hear it. Just like, go.
that's kind of funny.
It's the same with editors. Editors are very, very similar, where they're like, that's not going to work.
And a bad editor can ruin a film, right?
Absolutely. And a good editor can make, a movie out of nothing. My buddy Kurt Engfer, who was an editor on Bigger, Stronger, Faster, he edited Fahrenheit 9/11 and Bowling for Columbine. And he tells the story when he came in on Bowling for Columbine, which won an Academy Award for writing, which Kurt should have actually got part of that. Because when you're an editor, you kind of help write the movie. He said the movie was just a complete mess. It was all over the place. It was like 3.5 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't really have like much of a, like a focus to it.
Mm-hmm.
It just had a lot of really good ideas.
Like a collage of scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I know how to turn this into something really. So he went to town on that and did.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's ended up making a bunch of documentaries since then. One of the best documentaries, before we end here, I'll put over my friend Kurt. He made this documentary that I don't agree with the diet at all. But have you heard of Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead?
Absolutely.
Have you seen it?
That's the smoothie guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't agree with the diet at all, really. But
Everybody tried that diet for at least 3 days.
Yeah, you'll try it like as soon as you watch the movie. I mean, I think I tried it. My friend Kurt directed this with a guy named Joe Cross. A 2010 documentary. They ended up making like 3 of them. Yeah, I just don't agree with like that diet being like a really great healthy diet. But like, hey, that's how the guy got there, and he's not like he didn't gain the weight back. He's not unhealthy now. So it's like, who cares how you get there? That's what I try to spread to everybody. Is like, even if the way that you got there wasn't healthy and you didn't know about, like, who cares? Like, you got there. So get there, and then figure it out. So it's like, even if you're not on the best plan, but you're on a plan that's helping you reduce calories and you're losing weight on it, then don't really change it until you need to change it. Like a lot of people come to me where their diet's already working great for them, and then they're like, well, what should I eat to be carnivore? I'm like, well, why do you want to be carnivore? And it's usually not because their diet stopped working. They just want to do it or what, so you got to be on the right things for the right reason. And I just think that that's a great example of like, look, this guy's like, I'm going to lose the weight. I'll figure out how to do it. He just kind of figured it out as he went along and realized like, hey, fruits and vegetables are really healthy. What's a way for me to get more of these in? And he was just juicing them basically.
Yeah. And,
So
it made a great, what a great presentation.
Well,
right?
what's
That
great
truck driver that he brought down from like 400 plus.
I think that's the best part of the movie. The 12th step of AA is to go out and help others. Take what you learn and go help others. And that's basically what that movie is, because I remember watching that movie the first time, and it gets about 45 minutes in, and the guy's completed his weight loss journey. And I'm like, this movie is so stupid. Like, it's already over. Like what is going to be the next 45 minutes? I had no idea what I was in store for.
Yeah.
And then by the end, I'm like crying. I'm like bawling in tears.
Yeah.
Especially when the fat guy runs at the end.
I'm going to have to pull that up. Yeah.
He
remember
takes
him.
off at the end. He starts running.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. This is a different level.
Yeah.
You know? That was what a great film. And like, it's great that they actually made a movie. This is a great, type in the kids menu. I'm going to give you a couple recommendations that you might want to check out to help your kids eat better. So there's this movie called The Kids Menu that Kurt directed, and it is a feature documentary from the team that brought you Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, as filmmaker Joe Cross spent time traveling the world to basically talk to kids about what they eat, which is kind of cool. Have you seen That Sugar movie?
Okay. I've seen a couple sugar movies that used to be on Netflix.
There's one that's called That Sugar movie.
I don't know if I've seen
It's
that
an
one.
Australian guy. That Sugar film. That's another good one, especially to show kids. And then, have you seen what is the pizza that people make? Fathead?
Fathead Pizza?
Have you seen Fathead Kids?
No.
They've been Fathead Kids. I think it's its own documentary also. Yeah. Click on the video. Is there a video there? Videos? Oh, it's on Amazon Prime Video. Yeah, so there's probably a trailer right here. So this is basically like, this is really interesting because it's kind of like a keto movie for kids. The fathead diet's basically like more of like a keto. That's Dr. Davis. We know him. He's been to the
in
gym.
his film Fathead, Tom
Naughton. He's a comedian.
demonstrates that much of the official advice about healthy eating is wrong, so wrong that it's created a record number of kids who are overweight, diabetic, and can't concentrate in school. Fathead Kids explains what we need to know about the diet and so on. Oh, it sounds like a cool...
Yeah. And it's
like who's the target audience? What age group of kids would you say? Is this for my 8-year-old or my 13-year-old?
Kids.
Or both?
For both.
Both.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 8-year-old can understand it, right? Like, I think it's... I would be interested to see if it would hold their attention long enough to watch it.
Yeah. Set them both down and see how long they can stay in it without getting distracted.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
Time to give them ice cream if they make it through a whole movie. It's like completely the opposite of the movie.
Oh, we'll say watermelon.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think like some of these documentaries are great. It's interesting that there is like Fathead Kids. This guy made another movie called Fathead, which is kind of like a keto movie. And what I like about it, and here's what I thought after watching Fathead, when I was trying to make a movie about keto, I think the reason why I never got to the finish line of it is like, I never believed in it enough. Like, I don't think I really believed in keto. And then halfway through the movie, after asking all these experts questions, I'm like, I don't think these people know what they're talking about. Like, I don't think they're right. I think a lot of things they're saying are actually truths. Like, it's not really like, that's not really how the body works. And so as you're going deeper into it, and you're trying to evangelize everybody about keto, and then you're talking to Lane Norton on the side, and you're like, these guys don't really have their facts straight because I'm talking to Lane, and Lane's just giving me like what the facts are. He's not trying to be anti-keto. He's just trying to give me the facts, and they're not matching up over here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard. Credit I give this guy's, he just goes for it, makes a movie,
Mm-hmm.
saying like, this guy right here, the calorie myth. Well, there is no calorie myth. Like, this guy tries to say like calories are a myth. They didn't even used to exist. Why do we count them? It's like, well, it's still a unit of measure, and people are still eating too much of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like it's a myth. I get what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to track. And
I
count
think
these
like how
things.
I think it's like on almost like what they say. It's like on a sliding scale, depending on where it is in the glycemic index or something like that.
What's that?
The calorie myth, isn't that something that, like if like not all calories are the same as the whole
The
philosophy?
calorie myth, the book itself, is the fact that like this guy's basically saying like calories in, calories out doesn't work.
Right, because of like the glycemic index and stuff like
But
that.
that's
Right?
but that's not true either. I mean, we've seen it over and over and over,
Mhm.
like a million times. Like, no matter what, if you just stopped eating, you will lose weight
And that's
until you die.
that's the whole Greg Doucette concept. He's like, I'm not
Prove it.
I'm not contesting that maybe for some calories they may go further for you than they will somebody else, but the answer is always reduce the calories.
Yes.
The answer is always reduce the calories, and you will eventually find your break-even point and go below
And
it.
I used to be one of the people that say, no, you're wrong about that because I eat 6,000 calories of meat a day. And then I start looking at my meat intake and how many calories I'm eating. And I'm eating like 2,400 calories of meat that I think is 6,000 because it seems like so much meat.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like
Because it's Piedmontese.
Well, no, not even before even Piedmontese. Like when I was just doing carnivore on its own, I'd be like, but I ate like 8 burgers today. What are you talking about? Like I'd have to be over my calories, right? Oh, that's still only this many calories. And you go, oh, you know?
You know, and that I guess because it's really on my mind, I'm going to circle back to that interview I heard. It's really a great listen with American Glutton. They talked about they were talking about, you know,
What's American Glutton?
that's the Ethan Suplee
Oh, okay.
podcast.
That's his podcast. That's what it's called.
Yeah, I think so. I hope
like
I
that.
quoted it right.
Yeah.
He was saying, you know, he goes, I even know a lot of because Kevin Smith is a vegan and he was saying, I know some people that are carnivores. He goes, if I'm eating 7 ribeyes, I am not going to lose weight. I am ultimately a fuel factory, and if I put too much fuel in, if I put 7 ribeyes into my belly, I'm not going to lose weight off of that.
I kind of disagree with that. But so here's what I find on carnivore. If you can do it, I just feel like hardly anybody can do it. If you can do it and you can just eat meat, just red meat, nothing else enters your body. No cheese, no cream. It's red meat and it's water. I find that I get fantastic results from that.
Because you're not eating 7 ribeyes.
I can't eat that much.
That was the conversation, and this is maybe why it's resonating to me. These were 2 guys that were both, Kevin Smith said he was wearing 8XL jerseys at his heaviest, and Ethan Sway was like 550. These are men that had severe binge eating issues, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And I don't know if you were ever necessarily like this big binge eater. I mean, I think like just lifestyle
My
kind of caught up
binging is
with you.
probably worse, just as bad as anybody else. I mean, like I've eaten and this is like actually kind of recent in the past like 5 years. Like the giant family size bag of Skittles,
Yeah,
like the giant one.
Yeah.
I've plowed through that in a day easy.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like with including eating all my other food.
You're an elite NFL athlete.
Well, I'm just saying, I've put away some pretty bad shit.
Yeah, I believe you.
As far as food,
I believe you.
like calories go, like that. I think it's like, I don't know, it's a lot of calories. I'm gonna calculate it and I'm gonna tell you next time
I'd be
how
curious.
many calories it is. But like, it's ridiculous how fast the calories crank up. Like if you were to take a handful of Skittles, it's like 200 calories, and you can eat an entire pound of strawberries for that.
Yeah, right.
Like a Skittles, it's like a handful.
Yeah.
And then or a pound of strawberries. And so,
Right.
yeah, the difference of these things is so crazy. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely wasn't a binge eater like those guys. But also, like, I've had exercise in my life since I was like 16 years old. So no matter how much I ever eat, I've been a power lifter, kind of at the top of the game. When I was doing it when I was young, I was a power lifter, and I was like, but I it doesn't even matter if I was the top of the game. I was a powerlifter that was very active in it. Like I did it. I trained every day.
You were an athlete for most of your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was always doing stuff.
Yeah.
So I should have been able to burn it all off.
Right.
If I had genetics like some of these other guys, I would have burned it all off. But I was obviously eating way too much because I kept getting fatter and fatter. Mark and I would go to the gym. We'd come home and we'd smash like a half-gallon of ice cream together.
Right. Yeah.
You just split it. Like, like your mom get that big Briars thing.
Oh, yeah, I remember
like,
that.
take a knife and cut it down the middle and give Mark half and I eat the other half.
Nice.
And we put whipped cream on it and,
do it all
we
up.
just didn't know any better.
Right.
Like, well, they say you got to eat a lot.
Right.
This has protein in it.
Right.
There was no guidance back then. Zero. There wasn't a fitness magazine you could look at. Like, you had to buy it. Like, if you wanted a bodybuilding magazine, you had to go buy it. And we were young, so we couldn't afford anything. We didn't have anything. So we got magazines here and there, but for the most part, we didn't have any guidance. There was no internet. It didn't exist. I think if Mark and I grew up in the age of the internet, we would be like completely different people. I mean, I think anybody can say that too, but like we would have been, we would have probably taken a healthier path from the very beginning.
Oh yeah, probably, right.
Like with everything we were taught and how we grew up and what we got into, I think like once we found powerlifting or bodybuilding, we would have went towards it more. And we found it, but we didn't. We went towards it, but all we knew how to do was lift weights.
Yeah.
We didn't have any other instruction.
Right.
And like, how do you learn how to lift weights? I don't even know how we learned how to lift weights. To be honest, I can't even remember how I learned my form or anything because I didn't have any mentors. I had zero mentors. I had zero people showing me how to lift besides my older brother once in a while. But like, to be honest, Mad Dog was at an age where he was out doing his own thing and he never really showed me much of anything. I remember being like 16 years old reading Powerlifting USA and articles by Louis Simmons about doing box squats and all these other weird things that nobody else was doing at the time. So then Mark and I would go to the gym and we'd bring in a box or we'd bring in chains. We were always looked at as weird, and I would always use Louis Simmons' line, the results will justify the method.
Right. Beautiful.
Let's wrap it up on that.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, that's a great line, though, if you think about it.
It's
the results will justify the method. So
Right.
no matter what anybody says about what you're doing, it's like, wait till I finish this.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Yeah.
I'll show you.
I'll show you.
I love it.
I'll show you guys. All right, we're out of here.
Bye.